Into the ropes and off, a flying tackle by and a drop kick.
10 pounds of pure gold.
Got to hold this just a minute. You want a little bit more?
I'm a real heavyweight champion.
Gotta be the best of me. More to me than anything I've ever done in wrestling.
They call this the 10 pounds of gold championship. As existed in the truck province.
That canvas pretty hard, and look at Buddy go to work now. Oh!
Hey everybody, it's Durger time, and welcome to the first episode of Total Extreme Wrestling 2020, Billy Corgan's NWA. If you are here for the first time, thank you for joining. If you like what you see, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Very easy for you to get notified of what's going on, and it really does help the channel out a lot. Now, if you are new, you may not know this already, but this is actually a continuation of a long-running TEW 2016 save set all the way back from 2018. Now, you don't have to have watched that all in order to have gotten caught up here, because I did make a 4-minute kind of recap video. It doesn't go over everything, it just goes over kind of the real basics of sort of the plot of where we're at now. So we don't go through like all the history of people and the Enzo Amore era and all the weird things that happened in 2018 and 2019. We're not going to talk about it. It's not important. It's really not important. But it does tell you where we're at now and what's going on. Now, this is not a conversion of that save. It is a modification of an existing mod that's out there. We're using Questlove's current real-world Chronicles save, and I've modified it to mostly deal with the NWA. So there may be some continuity errors, and that's to be kind of expected, but for the most part, the roster's the same. You can see that my prestige and momentum's the same to where we're at, and the money is the same. So I try to keep all that in line, but there might be things that I missed. Unfortunately, I don't have the old save file to kind of go through and look at. So, if people died out somewhere in the world, they might not be dead here, that kind of thing. Some people that got fired. But for the most part, everything is kind of as it was here in the NWA. A lot of gimmicks transferring over need to be adjusted. We won't do that now. We'll do that offline, I think pretty much everybody. So I'm not going to bore you with that. And one of the first things I want to do, though, is we were having an issue with our broadcaster in 2016, and that was because it was a free to air on YouTube because we were making no money. Currently, we started to save with no deal whatsoever. We also started, I think, with a bunch of preset BS shows, because Into the White is not a show of ours. So we got to go through here real quick and knock all these out. Now, we're starting in May. When we last left the save in 2016, we were actually just turning the corner into April. Unfortunately, this is the earliest that I could get the game to function. The later save had tons of contract signings and things. It would be a nightmare to try to fix the rollback. So we just skip a month. I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. April 4th was supposed to be Mid-Atlantic Mayhem, so we'll roll it to week 2 or something and give us an extra week of build. But I do want to get rid of all of these events that are not mine. So let's get rid of this nonsense. It's nice that they fill it for you if you don't have anything, but it's kind of annoying right now because we really aren't doing monthly events. We were only doing like every other month. I think actually our contract kind of forced us into doing a monthly, more or less, but wasn't something we were necessarily fully committing to. So Mid-Atlantic Mayhem was going to be our next event. And let's go ahead and set that up real quick. 2 hours is fine. I think annual is fine. We're going to set it as Sunday. Let's do second week of May. Actually, that would be right. Let's do third week. It'll give us a little bit more time. It'll give us like 2 shows to build up to. Because we still have some stuff. We were only like 2 weeks in to our build, so we had some time still. And it is going to be set in, shockingly, the Mid-Atlantic region. Everything else should be fine, and I am fine with it being an annual event. I think it'll be fun to do it. Mid-Atlantic is one of our other focuses outside of the Southeast that we're trying to expand into. After that, we're going to have to set up some other events, but that's fine. Now, we have to set up our broadcasting. So, what I was talking about earlier, one of our problems was that we were in YouTube land, which is not that much of a problem, except it was originally set as a free-to-air location, or free-to-air, broadcaster, which is not really realistic. Yes, like a huge chunk of content is free-to-air in on the on the YouTubes, but you can become a partner, you get advertising deals, all that type of stuff. So the fact that we were making zero money from every show just seemed a little unrealistic to me. So I changed them to being a commercial internet site, very similar to Twitch is set as internet subscription, which is not really right either. But we don't necessarily have to jump off of YouTube anymore. So that's certainly an option. And I think we're going to... I want to see what they'll give us, because this is the other thing, is that TEW 2020 has a whole new negotiation system that's pretty neat. So we want to set it up for power. I'm fine with like 3 months. And time slots are weird, but there are debuts. What will you give me? Late night. Not keen on you having that time slot. You want me to pay $2,500 per show? Absolutely not. Put me on demand, if anything. Afternoon, early evening. I'm fine with early evening. Be like 5 o'clock or something like that. We'll not pay anything for the show, so that's good. What could we get in terms of revenue? Absolutely not 70. How about 70%? We would have to pay $7,500 per show. No, thank you. How about 50? Happy with that split. I like the idea of somebody from the NWA coming in and just scribbling numbers in. Like, how about 60? How about 55? How about 54? How about 53? So it seems like we can get a 55% revenue split on an early evening for 3 months. I think that's fine. I'm fine with that. We'll see how it is, and if it's horrible for us, we can get out of the deal in 3 months. And then we also need to set up a new broadcaster for our pay-per-views. We were originally doing Hulu, which was weird, but I think we're going to do Fight TV. Should be set for events. Again, we'll just do 3 months for now. Late evening, early evening, same thing. Minimum quality is very low, so that should be fine. And we want a revenue split of whatever we can get, honestly. Which is apparently not a lot, about 50%. I think 50-50 is fair, 3 months for our events. I think that's fine. I'm happy with that. All right. Cool. So we now have a broadcaster for Mid-Atlantic Mayhem, and we have our broadcaster for NWA Power. So should be more than fine there. I think our product should be fine, everything. So interestingly enough, our current product is a little weird. TV show 75% 20. Actually, that's probably about right. It's rated on 40-60 in-ring action versus popularity, which again probably is actually a little bit more generous. I'd probably say is popularity focused. So one of the big things about TEW 2020 is you really have to manage this product more. It's really trying to focus on making you kind of have to deal with the product and focus on it. So it'll be kind of interesting to see how that affects us booking-wise. Let's go ahead and let's get on over to the next show, which actually should be tonight. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fast forward from here. I'm going to get all these gimmicks set up, and then we'll get on with an episode of Power as we build towards Mid-Atlantic Mayhem. All right, guys, we're here ready to book our first episode of Power for the 2020 game. Luckily, we have no backstage incidents, which is kind of shocking, considering Sasha is real pissed off at us because we are about to bury the hell out of her. We are going to be in the southeast, which actually might be something I have to fix. I don't see our Power Studio because we're in our own little place. We might just make it. That's unfortunate. Pick best option. That would be hilarious. Such a generic one for now. So we're going to have to fix that. I'm going to have to either make a location. I don't think we can do it right now. Maybe not. Probably investments. We're going to have to make our studio because it doesn't look like it's in the save. But we have, I think we're in like the Georgia Auditorium or something like that. I'll take a look at it in between episodes. But just to try to kind of get it copacetic, we should have a location. I know that location issues have been kind of wonky, so you know it is what it is. We're expecting 400 people, just about. That's probably about right. And we are in the southeast, so we're probably going to be right in Atlanta. And yeah, let's go ahead and let's book it. Doesn't look like we have anything else to worry about. Now, storyline-wise, we got a couple things going on. Now, all these stories are going to have to restart, but we have Colt Cabana, who's been brainwashed by Josephus and his cult, and Flip Gordon's trying to deconvert him. Eli Drake, who is our Alliance champion, is getting run over by Eddie Kingston, who's bitter about being kind of left off the shows. Chris Jericho has 10 pounds of gold, and Brian Pillman now is maybe looking to try to take a run for it. We have the board of directors storyline, obviously. Von Erichs are trying to make a run for the tag team titles, and Sasha Banks, now having been stripped of the title, is trying to reclaim it, but she's getting a major competitor in Kimberly, who is trying to push up the ranks. So let's go ahead and let's book the show and see what happens. We got a couple more weeks until Mid-Atlantic Mayhem, so we have some time to do some final builds. All right, guys, let's start the show. We're starting off with Kimberly and Skylar in a tag team match against Madison Eagles and Nicole Matthews. At subpar wrestling and non-existent heat, Skylar and Kimberly defeat Madison Eagles and Nicole Matthews in 6 minutes. Again, just trying to give Kimberly some more legitimacy as she challenges Sasha and eventually will probably go up against Tessa Blanchard. This does all right. It's 41. It's not too bad. Got the show off to a great start, and I'm not even going to go through all of the gimmicks. We basically had to give everyone a gimmick in this game, but overall, not bad. Let's go ahead and move on from our opener. Joe Galley and Gavin Loudspeaker are two... Ooh, Gavin, what's going on here? Go on. I'm going to have to put Gavin on a script, but they talk about the fact that the Battle Royal for the #1 contendership is tonight. Basically 15 competitors, pretty much the bulk of the show, to be honest, because of how big the match is, are going to go at it, and the winner on the Battle Royal will get a chance to compete against Chris Jericho at Mid-Atlantic Mayhem week after next. This does horribly, too. Oh, man. All right, that sucked. Brody Lee, after this announcement, is backstage preparing for the Battle Royal. and he gets ganged up by Nick Aldis, one of the members of the board, which is the board of directors, for those that have not been following, that basically are Paul Pinky George's personal army that are trying to maintain power. But in addition to that, God, this is confusing. Nick Aldis also has been hiring Villain Enterprises to be his personal muscle, but they're not related to the board. Okay, that sounds really confusing when I say it. But Aldis and his guns for hire attack Brody Lee and level him out, and it seems like he's been basically taken out through injury from the tournament. Nick Aldis worked well. He kind of improvised in the situation, talking up some drama. We end up with a 44, which is not bad for what we have here. I don't know how NWA will look in terms of ratings on this mod, so we're going to have to see, because the game is a little bit harsher, let's say, on the segment rating. So I'm not sure whether this is necessarily good, bad, indifferent, but going by the green, I'm going to say it's probably pretty good. Generally, the rule of thumb is you always want your segments to be at minimum your popularity level. So I think our popularity level right now is like 40, so a 44 is pretty good. Actually, this does, speaking of which, really great. Oh, this is a bummer. Can we... Apparently you can't go down any further on this screen for the match booking details, which is a real bummer. It's going to make these a lot shorter. So I'll have to pretty much paraphrase this, but Scott Steiner comes out, and he comes out with his new North American title, who previously Brian Pillman Jr. was the champion, who had basically ripped off the corporate branding of the Carl's Jr. Presents North American title. Scott Steiner had beat him for it and has the new North American title under a black velvet cloth, presumably getting ready to show the new Carl's Jr. branding once again. It was, everyone shut up and listen to me. I'm now the North American champion because that little pipsqueak Brian Pillman Jr. doesn't have the fortitude to go one-on-one with me. Well, he thinks wrestling's all about legacy and respect. I know what it's really about. The ladies that want to be with me. And of course, the marketing opportunities. He then pulls off the velveteen cloth to reveal it completely defaced by a new corporate branding embossed on top of it. And it is Scott Steiner's personal restaurant, Shoney's. So he has a new corporate branding that he's personally profiting off of, and the North American title is now the Shoney's North American Championship. This is a real bummer. I didn't realize that it would cut this off. I'm going to have to make these a lot shorter, or at least more concise, which is a huge bummer. To be honest, I loved how you could just scroll for days and have like a paragraph of nonsense. Oh, that sucks. Oh well. After that, we have Ricky Starks versus Scott Steiner fighting for the North American Championship. This is a pretty bad match, even though it got a decent reaction from the crowd. Scott Steiner defeated Ricky Starks in 10 minutes. It's probably honestly too long of a match for him, but he gets the Steiner recliner in and defeats Ricky Starks, makes defense number 1 of the Shoney's North American title. Steiner had a 38, Ricky Starks had an 18. Yes. Let's get that turn. So what are we doing here? We're giving him the motor mouth gimmick, which, because he just had like old school face or something weird generic in there. All right, well, a little bit better here. At least we got most of this on here. We have a video package. Billy Corgan has still been abroad, missing for weeks after Paul Pinky George has been running roughshod over the company and basically doing whatever he wanted. Billy Corgan still has power, though. He did declare that he wanted that battle royal last week, but he doesn't have full control over the company. He's looking for a way to wrest control from it, and he is abroad looking for a person to be his personal champion to bring to the NWA to really tip the balance of power. We see him in a cafe reviewing dossiers of various wrestlers. It's hard to tell who they are, and it's hard to tell where he is, though the look of the buildings outside the window definitely have a very Eastern European vibe to them. He says, Paul Pinky George III wants this company for the wrong reasons. He wants it because he thinks wrestling is about making as much money as possible. I believe differently. I believe wrestling is about honor. It's about showing the world the impossible, and it's about the glory in the ring. If I'm going to beat him, I need to find someone who matches that value. And I think I found my weapon. He closes a dossier, and it seems like he has settled on a specific person that he thinks will bring glory, and it seems like he found him presumably somewhere in Eastern Europe. Yeah, I think I gave him a new gimmick. It's rated as awful. The owner. No one believes that Billy Corgan's the owner of the company. He's just wearing that stupid hat all the time, and he doesn't know. All right. This match is not great either, unfortunately. Had subpar wrestling and non-existent crowd heat. Ross Von Erich and Marshall Von Erich go on their tour of winning as they try to basically get themselves credibility to challenge for the tag team titles. We have them going after the Tate brothers, who are just local jobbers and totally not the boys from Dalton Castle. They defeat the Tate brothers in 5 minutes. We had them both dominate, and we had them both debut a new gimmick, which is Son of a Legend. They got pretty good ratings on this. We do advance the storyline, but it loses heat from this. Ross was really off his game. That's unfortunate. Actually, this is crazy. The Tate brothers had better performance than the Von Erichs. We might have to bring them in as a tag team. They're pretty cheap. Might be something we'll look at. I do want to get a few more tag members in to the whole fold, so that might not be a bad option. Gets us a 36. It's not bad, or it's not awful, I should say, but it's not a great rating. Again, we want to try to keep it above 40 for the most part. In our main event, better, would have liked a little bit more, but considering the wide diversity of people in this, in terms of skill level, this is not horrendous. Pillman had a poor gimmick. That sucks. It's a pretty poor match, though. Brian Pillman Jr. eventually wins the Battle Royal in 11 minutes. The final four were Nick Aldis, PCO, and Brody King. So Aldis, PCO, and Brody King basically ran through everybody by teaming up and cheating their way through the entire tournament. Eddie Kingston got the most eliminations over the course of the match. The match ended with Brody Lee running in and attacking Aldis. Brody Lee should have been in the Battle Royal, but was too injured to compete, but ends up essentially saving Pillman after Pillman and the three of them kind of go at it. Pillman takes out PCO and Brody King, leaves Aldis and him together, and a attack and a distraction from Brody Lee finally allows Pillman to throw Aldis over the ring, or over the ropes, I should say. Matt Cross was off his game, so was PCO. Got the crowd hotter. We don't need him any hotter, though. Yeah, so not bad overall. We end the show with a brawl. Brody Lee and Nick Aldis just fight after Brody Lee ends up distracting Aldis and forcing him to lose, and they brawl to the backstage, and honestly, actually, a whole bunch of people brawl. You got PCO start fighting, Brian Pillman starts fighting, but we didn't add them in because that would be kind of ridiculous. But big old brawl leading to everyone getting forced to be broken up. So we seem to be building a feud between Brody Lee and Nick Aldis actually for Mid-Atlantic Mayhem, but Brody Lee is now officially out of contention for the championship, though he is the Founders Champion. So if you don't know about that, it's sort of like our Money in the Bank, but basically he can cash it in at any time for a title shot. So not a huge deal for him, but does not put him in the main event. He would have to interject himself if he wanted to be in. And we end with a 50 segment for that. So we should probably end, about a 47. Not bad. That's about where we would want to be. We had 88 people at the show. Overall, it's not horrible, I would say. That's a pretty decent show. We'll have to take a look and see where our ratings are in terms of quality for TV. And obviously, we've got to worry about our financial situation because the finances in this game are wildly different. So we're going to really see how we stack with that show. I think it said we're doing about like $4,800 just in workers' fees for that show. So I'd be kind of curious where it was. Now let's take a look at that real quick. So performance at the end, we're losing about $3,000 a show, basically. We had $4,000 in ticket sales. Broadcast revenue was $1,300. Well, it's better than zero. And we had sponsorship income for the month of about $13,000. It might be a little bit more by the end of it. And $1,500 in merch sales. But production cost $12,000. Show cost itself was $5,000, and the workers were about $6,000. So we're still looking at a loss. A loss of $3,000 a show isn't the end of the world, because it does take money to to make money. Our goal is to essentially boost up our momentum, which we certainly are. We did a whole 1% increase in momentum, actually, which was nice. Not too bad. Popularity gains are always kind of interesting. I know in this game, we'll have to check by the end of the month. I've seen that some people have been saying that losses really drastically drop people's popularity sometimes. So we'll have to keep an eye on it and make sure we don't go crazy, because we don't want people dropping like a nightmare. But that was the first episode of our NWA save. Overall, pretty good. I'm pretty happy with where that's going. Our next show is going to be Power in 6 days, and then we're going to have Mid-Atlantic Mayhem. So we got another show, maybe show and a half. I'm trying to remember where we put it. But we're building up towards that pay-per-view event, and it should be pretty interesting. Thank you guys for joining me. I'll see you next time.